Probably the most important thing in horse training is trying to teach a horse what its face is all about. In other words, we work really hard to train our horses that the bridle reins help us control what kind of movement they're doing under them. So one way we do that is checking a horse up or bitting a horse up. Here we're going to work with a 2-year-old. This is one of the first few times we've even put a bridle on him, and I wanted to show you the steps we take in checking a horse up. So after a horse has run around for a little while and he's kind of got his play out and his buck out, we'll go ahead and stick the bridle on him, and then we'll let him just bounce around a little bit in the bridle. You'll see Daphne here working with this colt. She'll take the reins and she'll just dally them around the horn so there's no chance of them slipping off. It seems like a lot of people have had sort of a hard time dallying reins, so I wanted to show you close up how we do it. We just make a loop with the ends of the reins going under the part that attaches to the bit, and we'll just do that tight and then pull them snug. In that way, they're not going to slip, even if you're just walking back to the barn and you just dally one rein. But I've noticed a lot of people struggle with some kind of a knot, and then the rein slips and the horse steps on it and you have a big old problem. So anyway, here we go. She'll let this horse bounce around a little bit carrying the bit. And I do this on 2-year-olds because you never want to just check a horse up or bit a horse up in any way. You want them to be ready for the work and kind of understand it. And especially on a young horse, I think it's important to keep repeating the same steps every day so nothing comes as a big shock to it. You might not spend as much time on the first few steps like saddling or what have you, but everything horses don't like surprises, I guess I should say. Horses like to understand what's going to happen. So he's been saddled, he got to lunge a little bit, now he's got the bit, he's already carried it a couple days. So once he kind of settles down and looks a little more comfortable, then we'll go ahead and start working on bitting him up. I never like to, especially in the beginning, ever bit up a horse hard and fast. I like that bridle rein to have a little bit of movement. And so what I do on my horses is I'll tie the stirrups together under their belly, and I will bit them up to their tail, nice and loose. So when they pull, the tail's going to give a little bit. It's not going to scare them, and they're not going to feel trapped in the face. The other thing it does is there's enough tension that the horse is going to have to bend in the direction that it's checked up to. And that way they start learning how to follow their head and neck. And I think on 2-year-olds, it's also really good because that rein kind of slapping them in the flank helps sack them out a little bit more, get them a little more gentle. On older horses that have never bit up, this is really good to do too. If a horse is really stiff in the face or doesn't want to bend one way or the other, it's safe to do this and take the time to help them understand what you want of them. Because if they're going to pull on you, I'd rather they just kind of pull on themselves and figure this stuff out. Again, when you tie them to their tail, here she's just running it through a braid, you don't want to make it so short that they're trapped or they just have to spin around, just a little bit, so they can feel a little bit of tension on the side of their face, and they know as they go forward, they'll have to bend in that direction. So now she's got the stirrups tied under the belly, she ran the line down the horse's side to the tail, and she's just kind of pushing him away. He's kind of a friendly colt, so he sort of wanted to hang out and chat with her a little bit. And I don't care if they trot or if they lope, but I just want them to go forward and bend slightly. This colt's doing great, and this is about usually the worst that ever happens. They kind of go, whoa, something kind of grabbed my tail, I guess I'll go forward. And then they settle into it and get used to it. Again, sacking them out a little bit more. As long as you have forward motion, you're accomplishing what you need. I'm not a huge fan of just checking them up and having them stand there. I think that actually creates, especially in the early stages, more harm than good. I want them to understand how to move forward and how to respond to pressure on their face. Thank you.